do, constantly go back over these things, man. Shalom, 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 Israel. First off, giving all honor and praises to the Most High, to His Son Yahushua, with the battle axes of the Most High, coming to you with another Sabbath class to edify brothers and sisters. Shabbat shalom to brothers and sisters watching online. Share and like the video. Shabbat shalom to brothers and sisters in class. The name of today's class is The Destruction of Nicanor, a reading Q&A. The Destruction of Nicanor, a reading Q&A. We're going to be doing a lot of reading today, making sure that brothers and sisters understand what thou readest. These things are very important for us to constantly go over the high holy days that the Most High God have blessed us with, and celebrating the destruction of our enemies and the rising of our people, man. These things are very, very important to know, because a lot of times our people understand Esau's wicked holidays, but we don't know the Most High God's high holy day. So we have to change that narrative, especially when you have been woken up to this truth. First precept we want to go to, let's go to the book of Romans chapter 15, verse 4. Let's say any questions that brothers and sisters may have as we're reading over these things, more than welcome to raise your hand so we can answer those things.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
So the scripture says, whatsoever things that was written aforetime were written for our learning. Why? So we can understand who the characters are in the Bible. What do we do in times of trouble? How do we overcome those situations? Who were our enemies in those situations? Because the thing is, what goes around comes around, man. Like the scripture said in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is no new thing under the sun. And a lot of times, brothers and sisters think, because we're in modern times, that these things are different. No, it's the same characters and the same plots that they have going on in this world. So we have to have comfort and understanding that first we're God's chosen people, that we must keep his commandments, and when we're in sin is because what? We break his commandments. Just as simple as that. We're not ruling over the nations because of our sins. So we have to take comfort in understanding and breaking down the trueness of the scriptures. Read that again in its entirety, y'all.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
That we, meaning the Israelites, because the book of Romans were written to the saints that were scattered in Rome. We're going to get on Christians every single time whenever we go to Paul's epistles, letting people know who the audience it is and who these letters are addressed to. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 8 and verse 20. Because we want to make sure that brothers and sisters understand what you are reading. 30, yeah. Thanks, son.
The book of Acts, chapter 8 and verse 30. And Philip ran to them and heard him read
at verse 28.
The book of Acts, chapter 28. Let me select the book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 28. Was returning and sitting in his chariot. Read Esaias the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to this chariot.
Now, this was a man of Ethiopia. Even Christians don't understand that Israelites were scattered in all over the place. So this man was an Israelite man that was scattered in Ethiopia under Candace. He was made a unit. That also goes back to the book of Isaiah chapter 56, how we were made units continually. Read on out.
Come. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran to him and heard him read the prophet Esaias and said, Understandest thou what thou readest?
Philip asked him, do you understand what you are reading? And that's what we ask, brothers, man. That's why it's pivotal. And that's why we constantly always ask questions to make sure that brothers are tuned in, that brothers are locked in. Because what good is it if you can go out there and teach and you don't understand what you're teaching? That makes absolutely no sense. You just basically regurgitate what you heard your leader say. And that's not the spirit to be in. You want to actually understand the history. You want to actually understand the precepts, where to go. You want to actually understand this. You don't want to just be out there just to be seen of men and just 5 minutes of camera fame or YouTube fame. No, you want to actually break down and understanding what you are reading, because it's going to come times to where you're going to have that one-on-one time with brothers and sisters. And you're going to have to understand what you're talking about, man. There's no other way. Read on up.
Verse 31. And he said, how can I, except some man should guide?
So he told him, and how can I, except some man should teach me? So it's our job to teach brothers and sisters the understanding of the Bible. It's like how we was taught the understanding. Most High God is waking us up to the true understanding of the scriptures. And a man of the Most High that knows to keep the commandments is one that brothers and sisters should be looking forward to be able to guide and to teach them. It's not Christianity, man. They are not keeping the commandments. They don't even think upon God's laws, statutes, and commandments, man. So how in the hell are they going to teach our people anything? Makes absolutely no sense. Let's go to the book of 2 Maccabees, man. Second Maccabees, chapter 8. Because who knows what brother knows, or what brother knows who is Nicanor? Who is Nicanor? Any brother know? Who's his race?
Oh, Edomite, I do.
Edomite, I do. So we constantly see throughout the scriptures where the Most High God, and we're constantly at odds with the Edomites. They are our mortal enemies. And it's prophesied in the book of Exodus, in the book of Deuteronomy, that we will have what? War with them from generation to generation. We can never lose sight of those things, even today, man. Today is much more in the shadows. It's much, much more in the shadows, but guarantee that everything that we deal with, Esau and Amalek, is at the head of those things. That's what these secret societies are for. That's what these secret councils are for. They're counseling on how to deal with you in these last days. 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and start at verse 1 up.
Book of 2 Maccabees. Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 1. Then Judas Maccabees and they that were with him went privily into the towns and called their kinsfolks together and took unto them all such as continued in the Jews' religion.
Now, when it talks about the Jews' religion, it's basically saying how they what? Their customs, how we what? Kept the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's it. We don't have to think deep. Oh, it says religion. I thought we didn't have no religion. Remember, words started to modernize during the time of Greeks, Romans. They started to change the words, basically. But this is going into, like the brother said, is going into our customs, our laws, statutes, and commandments. We don't know.
Unto them all such as continued in the Jews' religion, and assembled about 6,000 men. And they called upon the Lord that he would look upon the people that was trodden down of all, and also pity the temple profaned of ungodly men.
So remember, what major thing happened before this? Do any brother know? What happened before this? Who you got, Brother Joshua? You have to give in context of the Maccabees. What siege? Help him out, Brother Uriah.
They seized the temple and started giving sacrifices, swine flesh.
What was that called?
Abominations.
But remember, that's one of them, but also known as what? The Feast of Dedication.
Oh,
Going into the same thing, but we want to home in the point and continuing with the chronology. Because remember, they were still dealing with Greeks. They were still in our land. Read on up.
verse 3. And that he would have compassion upon the city, sore defaced, and ready to be made even with the ground. And hear the blood, they cried unto him. Read on up. And remember the wicked slaughter of the harmless infant,
Because they killed our kids. You know, they was killing men, women, and children. Anyone that did what? That circumcised their children. Who remember the precept? What you got?
Maccabees chapter 1, verse 16.
Let's get there right quick. Right to the point. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse, start at verse 48 and then we'll jump down to 60.
the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. Read on. Verse 49, to the end they might forget the law.
To the purpose that we might forget the law. And that's what Christianity is doing today. That's why they're constantly brainwashing our people with God's laws are done away with. We don't have to keep the law. What law? Christ fulfilled the law. They are doing those things that we might what? Forget the law. Because our people know and with the understanding, they know that guess what? Without keeping God's law, statutes, commandments, they can what? Rule over us. It's just that simple. Read on.
To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Because remember, we no longer keep Feast of Dedication, we keep Christmas. We no longer call it Passover, it's called Easter. That's changing the ordinance. Jump down to verse 61.
Verse 61. And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Even when you read it, the things that stand out is the things that still happen to us today and hang them about our necks. What nation of people are known for being hanged? It's certain context clues that brothers have to be able to identify to show you who the people are of this book, man. And it's making it plain. But since a lot of times our people don't read, we don't see these things, man. Read on.
Verse 62. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Even though those things were still going on, we still had a mind to keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments, man. And that's the mind that we have to have today, man, as we get closer and closer to Jacob's trouble, man. Let's go back to the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 8. Y'all got 2 Maccabees chapter 8. You said what? Oh. 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 4 from the top.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 4. And remember the wicked slaughter of harmless infants and the blasphemies committed against his name.
Read on.
And that he would show his hatred against the wicked.
Read on.
Now when Maccabees had his company about him, he could not be withstood by the heathen, for the wrath of the Lord was turned into mercy.
And that's something that we always have to constantly pray for. We have to pray for the mercy of the Most High. And that's something that a lot of brothers didn't show this week. You know, brothers didn't show those things this week, man. That's not how we supposed to deal in this truth, man. You got brothers that are not a part of the Israelite community having more mercy than brothers and sisters in the community. That makes absolutely no damn sense, man. Most definitely, do we rebuke? Yes. We're not giving Brother Gorilla Hebrew no excuse. You rebuke the brother, but damn, what you want? Like I said, what you want? Some blood? I mean, damn. You rebuke the brother, but then you build the brother back up, like how brothers was bringing out in the class this week, man. Good, great class. You build the brother back up in the spirit of meekness and humbleness, man. But you guarantee we're gonna get on a brother ass, man. That's without a shadow of a doubt, but that's not the only thing you do. Even like Christ said, go, sin no more, or less thing happen to you, man. More evil thing happen to you. So you always rebuke the brother, but you also always build that brother or that sister back up. We can never lose sight of that. Read on up.
Verse 6, therefore he came at unawares and burned up towns and cities and got into his hands the most commodious places.
Read on.
And overcame and put to flight no small number of his enemies.
Because Maccabees was standing up manfully for his people. Read on up.
But specially took he advantage of the night for such privy attempts.
Because he did most of his exploits at night. Read on up. Under the cover of darkness.
For such privy attempts, and so much that the fruit of his manliness was spread everywhere.
And that's the spirit that we got to have up in the battle axes, man. The root of his manliness took over, man. They seeing how Maccabees stood up strong as a leader. Guess what? That spirit spread on all the brothers in that thing. That's the spirit that we got to have, man, to know right from wrong, to guess what? Do what you're supposed to do, even when the captain is not looking, because the Most High God is always looking. And that's for the sisters as well, man, because we know when you see it sometimes, sisters be in the spirit, sometimes not around other sisters, but then when the captain come around, sisters get in the spirit. No, you're supposed to be in the spirit all the time. Don't just get in the spirit when you see somebody around, like the scriptures say, not just in my presence only, but much more in my absence, man. That's the spirit that each and every one of us got to have, on down to the children, man. Because you have children that, guess what, only act right when their parents are around. Remember, y'all are a reflection of your parents, man. So what people see you doing, hey, they thinking that you, guess what, your parents is doing the same thing, or they ain't teaching you a damn thing. Read on now. You got some more? Read on.
Verse 8.
Read on.
Verse 8. So when Philip saw that this man increased by little and little, and that things prospered with him still more and more, he wrote unto Ptolemy.
Hold up. Who do that remind you of? Things prospered in his hand, and he waxed more and more. Say it again. David. We want that spirit of David to come upon us, man. We want those things, man. Because guess what? Maccabees is following what? The traditions of his fathers. That's the same thing we should do in this troop, man. We following Maccabees. We following Paul. We following, guess what? That King David. And most importantly, we following who? Hamashiach Yahushua, man.
That's right.
Read on up.
He wrote unto Ptolemy, the governor of called Assyria, in Phoenice, to yield more aid to the king's affairs.
So they seen the exploits of Maccabees and how he's taking over and how this spirit is starting to spread. Guess what? He's a problem, and they trying to do something to him. Read on up.
Then forthwith choosing Nicanor, the son of Patroclus.
So now they picking out somebody to go and deal with the situation. Like many times when we starting to, guess what, rise up. That's what you have, what, COINTELPRO? What brother know what COINTELPRO means? What is the acronym? Any brother know? Brother should know that. We did classes on that. Say it again. Say it again. COINTELPRO. What does that stand for? That's one of them, but that's not all of them. Counterintelligence. COINTELPRO is counterintelligence program that they used in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s to do what? Combat us rising up. Do brothers understand that? So you have the civil rights. That's why when we started those things, they started to, with the KKK, red zoning, gentrification. Anytime we start to raise up, they put policies to keep us at a lower state. That's going into with the CIA, with secret government agencies, with shadow agencies. It's the same tactics. It's just called different names. Brothers have to be able to see those things in the spirit and in the scriptures, man. Read on now.
Then forward choosing Nicanor, the son of Patroclus, one of his special friends. He sent him with no fewer than 20,000 of all nations under him.
Read on.
To root out the whole generation of the Jews.
To do what up?
To root out the whole generation of the Jews.
Sounds familiar. What else was they trying to root out the whole generation of the Jews? Say it again, huh? The book of Esther, who? Haman. Same people, same tactic. That's why it's very important, man, that brothers understand these things. Different characters, different names, but guess what? Same people, same tactics. We don't know.
Come to root out the whole generation of the Jews. And with him, he joined also Georgias, a captain, who in matters of war had great experience.
So he had his captain with him, Georgias, he had experience in war. We don't know.
So Nicanor undertook to make so much money of the captain's Jews.
So Nicanor was a what? A slave trader, a slave runner. What nations of people are known to be slave traders and runners? Come on. Same thing, man. Same thing. We don't know.
So Nicanor undertook to make so much money of the captive Jews, and should defame, like as the fray, the tribute of 2,000 talents.
What do you think? Like, this is a modern day auction block, right? Jump down to verse 34. We go back up.
Verse 34. As for that most ungracious Nicanor, who had brought 1,000 merchants to buy the Jews.
So guess what? He was bringing people to buy the Jews. See, this is the modern day auction block, right? So read on.
He was thrown. It's like he was through the help of the Lord, brought down by them, of whom he had, it's like he made least account.
Right, read.
In putting off his glorious apparel and discharging his company, he came like a fugitive servant through the midland unto Antioch,
Read.
having very great dishonor, but that his host was destroyed.
Read on.
Thus he that took upon him to make good to the Romans
To make good to the Romans, read.
their tribute by means of the captives in Jerusalem.
You see how they go? Like I was touching on, man. The same old people. The Romans was doing what? Was taking us, had us in captives to do what? To be sold on auction blocks. So it wasn't just in America for the auction blocks. It lets you know, even in the Roman captivity, guess what? We was on the auction blocks over there too. It's been captivity after captivity for us going through those auction blocks. This is not a thing that changed. It didn't just get to America and just also so brand new. No, it wasn't brand new. But read on.
By means of the captives in Jerusalem, told abroad that the Jews had God to fight for.
Had who to fight for them?
Had God to fight for.
That's why I was touching on. That's why it's pivotal for us to be staying in the right spirit. Read.
And therefore, they could not be hurt.
They could not be what?
They could not be hurt.
Read.
Because they followed the laws that he gave.
This is how you combat that. I don't care what form of let's have a black people. We need to do this. We need to do that. No, the only way we can get a good fight in to defeat them is just like what it's reading right now, right? God's laws that he gave them, that he gave us, right?
You see what brother locked in? What's the precept, brother Bernard? Praise, brother's locked in, man. Need brothers to be paying attention. Jump back up to 2 Maccabees chapter 8, verse 10. Any questions? Like we say, this is a reading Q&A. Ezra, what question did you have? That's the Persian and Mede captivity. It tells you in the beginning. And it tells you that Artaxerxes, he is a Persian. So yes, that is a Persian and Mede captivity. What you got?
Phrase you use, code.
COINTELPRO.
So, would you count something like how they did the Black Panther Party? Is that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a part of that as well. How they destroyed it, how they helped organize it
Right.
and infiltrated it. Exactly. So that all that kind of goes into that. Kind of go into food stamps. It goes into a lot. Taking a man out of the household, housing, Section 8. A lot of those things are aimed at COINTELPRO or aimed at us. That's right. Go ahead.
So, in these last days, would you consider that they try to do that with certain camps?
Yes, most definitely. I'm pretty sure it's already infiltrators already in camp. Remember, it's nothing that Esau is not tapped into, basically. What is that precept? Let's go to the book of Daniel real quick. No, Ezekiel. Ezekiel 28. Read that out.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 28 and verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
And this is a heavy, heavy, deep, dark saying, because a lot of times it's going into Tyree, but on a spiritual, deeper level, it's going into Esau. You brothers understand that? Read that part again up.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 28 and verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel.
It says that they are wiser than Daniel. Why would they be considered wiser than Daniel? Because guess what? They have all the scriptures. They have the same, they have a complete Bible just like how we do. And they can see in the prophecies how things are folding and unfolding. They know these things, but they're powerless to do anything about it. The Most High God got them in a trick bag. They see their own destruction. They can't do nothing against it, man. That's why he has them right now going one at another with Trump, Zelensky, Ukraine, all these nations. We're starting to see these things starting to unfold with the EU and America. I don't understand how people don't see these prophecies, man. I'm talking about this unfolding right before your eyes, and this thing is beautiful in its making, man.
Let me touch on it right quick. Go to Daniel chapter 5 right quick. Because you got to think when Daniel is, man, Daniel's so heavy, man. When you talk about he's wiser than Daniel, man, you got to think, man, that's a heavy statement, man.
Right.
Daniel chapter 5, start at verse 10.
The book of Daniel, chapter 5 and verse 10. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house.
I read.
And the queen spake and said, O king, live forever.
That's just showing respect to the king. Read.
Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed.
Read.
There is a man of thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy God.
So he said, he's trying to tell King Nebuchadnezzar that it's a man in your kingdom. Man, this man really got he got a spirit. Like, he really dealing with the Most High God. But she said the holy gods, right? Well, watch it and read on.
And in the days of thy father, so like thy father's light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the God.
So he said this man got like a God's type of wisdom, man. Right? But you know how Esau, they say it in a different way, right? He got the spirit of the God. I mean, man, this brother was full of spirit, right? But read.
Was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say thy father made masters of magicians, astrologers.
He made a masters of magicians, astrologers, read.
Chaldeans, and soothsayers.
All these people that was wicked, he was over all of them. Just think about it. These were the people that they went to get instruct them to for information, right? And he said that Daniel had more understanding than all of those beings, right? But read.
For as much as an excellent spirit in knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams.
So he said this man he had much more an excellent spirit, and he had more knowledge, and he could interpret dreams. Right? That alone to interpret dreams, well, man, brothers and sisters can interpret a damn dream, man. Right? But read.
Come. In showing the hard sentences.
He can explain, you bring him hard things to understood, then you can explain it. Right? Read.
And dissolving of doubts.
And guess what? Any doubts that you have or any situation, he can resolve those things. Right? Read.
Were found in the same Daniel.
This goes straight into Daniel. Read.
Whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation.
So this is just showing you how the wisdom of Daniel was. When he's talking about wiser than Daniel, I mean Daniel was the wisest man on the planet at the time. Right? Go ahead.
And we see in these last days how Esau, with all their technology, spy satellites, bugs, CIA, all these counterintelligence and programs, agencies, that's what make them wise. Even with their archaeology, they're constantly digging up history to hide history so they can put out their perspective of history. There's a lot that goes into these. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 8, verse 10.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 10. So Nicanor undertook to take so much money of the captive Jew, read on, and should defray the tribute of 2,000 talents, which the king was to pay to the Roman.
Read on now.
Wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the seacoast, proclaiming a sale of the captive Jews.
So now he having a sale, man. We heard this many times, even with what? Black Friday, during Christmas time, they would normally put our people on sale. You know, it's the same thing, man, going on. We don't know.
Come in promising that they should have 80 bodies for 1 talent.
Yeah, selling 80 people for 1 talent.
Read on. Not expecting the vengeance that was to follow upon them from the Almighty God.
They didn't understand that it's a vengeance for the things that they're doing to our people. What you got?
So what is a talent be considered today? Like 1 talent?
Pull it up right quick. Pull it up on a talent equal to today. A talent. A lot of times, I know I have this one Bible, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, but it tells you in the back, and it gives you all those biblical measurements.
Did I spell that right?
Yeah, talent. You can look at the scriptures.
Say 500 to 1,000.
So you have even how they change it. You got to pull it up. So you have 1 talent equals to 3,150,000. Pull it up in today's value. You see that up?
In today's value,
In today's,
500,000.
it will either be 500,000 to 1 million. Brothers and sisters have that.
Show more.
From 500,000 to 1,000.
Million?
Yes, $500,000 to 1 million. Let's read that last part, verse 11 again.
Not expecting the vengeance that was to follow upon him from the Almighty God.
No, verse 11 from the
Oh,
top.
from the top. So like, wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the seacoast, proclaiming a sale of the captive Jews, and promising that they should have 80 bodies for 1 talent.
So that's what? How many bodies is that?
No.
Four is 8. 10 bodies. 90 bodies for approximately 500,000 to 1 million. So we want to include both of them. Read on out.
Come.
I don't know how brothers and sisters feel. Like when I, reading these high holy day stories, man, and just like this, man, that make me feel some type of way, man.
That's right.
I'm talking about it really do make me feel some type of way that they sold us, man. Like you just think back, damn, they was really selling us, man. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 25.
Come. Now when word was brought unto Judas of Nicanor's coming, and he had imparted unto those that were with him that the army was at hand.
So our people, Maccabees, Judas Maccabees had got intel that Nicanor was coming. So he understood things were starting to escalate. Read on.
They that were fearful and distrusted the justice of God fled and conveyed themselves away.
Read that part again.
They that were fearful.
They that were what?
Fearful.
They that were fearful. Fearful. So we always have the fearful amongst our people, man. Always. What did the scripture say about fear, man? Let's get that, man. Shouldn't have no fear, man, but the Most High. Go to 2 Timothy.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 1 and verse 7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear.
The spirit of what?
The spirit of fear,
Uh-huh.
but of power but of power, of love,
Of what?
of love.
Most High God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love. Meaning what? We have to keep his commandments. Read on up.
And of a sound mind.
And of a sound mind, man. Is that it on that? The other one in Deuteronomy. No, I won't. Any man is fearful, go back. Most High God is not dealing with that. Deuteronomy 20 and verse 8.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all precept all these together. The context is what? Fear, fearful. I always want to put that context with that, man. 2 Timothy 1, 6 to 7. Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 8. Say it again out. Good.
Yeah, good.
I'll read it.
The book of Deuteronomy.
Chapter 20 and verse 8. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return to his house.
Hey, man, go home, man. Hey, this ain't for the faint-hearted, man. Brothers out there scared to rebuke Esau. Hey, brother, go home. We'll try it again next week, man. You know, we don't know.
Lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart.
And let that spirit jump on everybody else. Brother scared to do the work, go home. And we'll counsel till you get your spirit built up stronger. We don't know.
Come, verse 9. And it shall be when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, and they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people.
That's why the Most High God chose captains. Able men that was able to lead the people, man, in dire situations. What is another precept for fear? What you got? 4 and 40 paraphrasing. When you say Mark, we know to go to that Mark 4 and 14, the so and so the word. I want that one in Deuteronomy, but paraphrase. I mean Nehemiah chapter 6 and 18. We should always have that locked in. Paraphrase it.
And he said unto them, why are you so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith?
Yeah, that's a good one as well. Let's go mark that. They're precept what you call it.
Was it 6?
Yeah. Remember, Mark 4 and 40, Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 8, 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. Get it up. Mm.
6 and 13.
Yes, and seeing
13.
13. Yes, 13 now. Thanks. Nehemiah chapter 6 and verse 13.
Or, yeah, come.
Mhm.
Nehemiah chapter 6 and verse 13. Therefore was he hired that I should be afraid and do so in sin, and that they might have matter for an evil report, that they might reproach me.
So Nehemiah is letting us know that having fear is what? Plain. Let's go back to the book of 2 Maccabees. Make sure y'all get all those spiritual precepts. Second Maccabees chapter 8 verse 13. Read this up.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 13. They that were fearful and distrusted the justice of God fled.
They did what?
Fled.
They fled. Read on now.
And conveyed themselves away.
And conveyed themselves away, meaning hid away. Go ahead.
That's heavy, man. Distrusted the justice of God. It is justice for the Most High God to pay back our vengeance, man. I mean, they distrusted the justice of God, man. That's what Christians do today, man. They don't have they don't understand the justice of God, man. The fairness of our God. Oh, we gonna forget about that, right? We're gonna forget about them, what they doing right now, Haman and wicked Absalom, and
And all these heathen, not even just the heathen, our own people, man, they distrust the justice that the Most High God has to come back and pay these wicked people, man. Right? And we pay for our sins, right? We go through hell and high water sometimes, paying for our sins, paying for the sins of the nation, right? For them not to have their justice, man. That's what the Christians do, man. That's a heavy scripture, right? I don't know if y'all, when I seen it, it just hit me, man. They distrust the justice, man, of God. That's another reason why they don't want to fight, man, because they don't understand the justice of the Most High God. That's all.
Read now.
Come. Verse 14. Others sold all that they had left, and with all besought the Lord to deliver them, being sold by the wicked Nicanor before they met together.
So you have brothers selling their stuff, leave. Read on out.
And if not for their own sakes, yet for the covenants he had made with their fathers, and for his holy and glorious name's sake, by which they were called.
Read on.
So Maccabees called his men together unto the number of 6,000, and exhorted them not to be stricken with terror of the enemy.
Read on.
Nor to fear the great multitude of the heathen who came wrongfully against them, but to fight manfully.
But to do what?
But to fight manfully.
But to fight manfully. So we know, I'm gonna tell you, Maccabees is in the damn spirit, because each time he's seeing certain spirits on people, what do you think he was exhorting them with? With the scriptures. He was exhorting them with the scriptures. That's one thing that you constantly see throughout the reading of these scriptures. Maccabees exhorting brothers with the scriptures, man. That's what puts that spirit and makes that spirit quickening, meaning changes your spirit or makes alive. The scriptures, man, each and every time, man. Brothers can never lose sight of those things, man. Read on now.
Verse 17. And to set before their eyes the injury that they had unjustly done to the holy place and the cruel handling of the city.
So he's showing them, man, look what they done did to our city. Look what they done did to our temple, man.
Right.
You think we're gonna let this stuff slide, man? That's the same thing we're saying. Look at the decayed estate of our people. You think the Most High God is gonna let that slide? Our people should feel some type of way when we see our people, the majority of the people that's out there homeless, bugged out of their damn minds, don't have a pot to piss in, and hate the hell out of us.
Right.
We should be pissed off, man. Mad at the sight of our eyes, man. That should make brothers go 10 times harder in this truth, man. Read on now.
Whereof they made a mockery, and also the taking away of the government of their forefathers.
Read on now.
For they said he trust in the weapons and bold. But our confidence is in the Almighty God.
So, hey, they trust in weapons and boldness, but our, guess what? Confidence is in the Most High. And that's how brothers and sisters' confidence should be in the Most High. Read on now.
Come, who at a beck can cast down both them that come against us, and also all the world.
Read that part again.
Come, who at a beck can cast down both them that come against us, and also all the world.
And a beck and call. That beck and call is you going into what? Prayer.
That's right.
Most High gotta throw some stuff down, man. And I know brothers and sisters done seen it, man. You throwing up those prayers, you thinking of dire situations, and guess what? The Most High God come through you in an unexpected way, man. Like, damn, I didn't even see that. Yeah, because you ain't the Most High. He, just like he got a number of weapons in his armory, he have a number of weapons in his mercy. Read on up.
Come, verse 19. Moreover, he recounted unto them what helps their forefathers had found, and how they were delivered.
Read on.
When under Sennacherib, 185,000 perished.
So now he's going and reciting the history. Where's that history found? Do any brother know? Isaiah chapter 37. This is going into the history of when the Most High God did what? Sent an angel and killed 185,000 Assyrians. Told stuff up, man. Most High ain't no joke. Go ahead.
This is another point to show you that in fact that the Apocrypha is very canon. It goes back into history and times, right? You know, going into what 400 years prior, right? The Maccabees is giving you understanding. We go into destruction of Nicanor, you'll see too he recited a lot of the old prophecies that we went through. My prophecies were 4 times that he wasn't in. So people love to talk about the apocryphal is not canon. You can definitely go to Maccabees and find a lot of precepts to show them that he in fact was pulling out of the Bible. What's that, Isaiah 37? Was it 37, 36?
Yeah.
Well, up a little bit more, you know. But, and I always say this real quick, man, that Maccabees, as strong and powerful as he was, his best attribute to me was what? Yeah. Putting them back in remembrance.
That's right.
The first precept that I pulled, Romans 15:4. He put them back in remembrance of who their God was and what they had to do according to what the scripture. He always told them, even in the scripture right here, he put them back in remembrance. Don't forget, man, we got a guy that pulled us out of Egypt. We got a guy that killed, slew some 100,000 back in this time. He always put us in remembrance. And that's what we got to do as a nation of people, man. We got to put our people back in remembrance, man.
Let's go to that 2 Kings chapter 19. Let's get the history. Chapter 19, verse 35. Get straight to it. Make sure y'all write these things down, man. 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 35. Get that, read this up.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 19 and verse 35. And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses.
They were all what?
Dead corpses.
So we see where the Most High God sent an angel to come down and tear up the Assyrians. 85,000, man. That's a lot of dead bodies. Let's go back.
Second Maccabees 15:22. It's another precept you can put with that. You don't have to go to it. That's another precept you can put with that. Second Maccabees 15:22. He's giving the same account. Make sure you have precept there.
Yeah, so my good. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees. What you need?
What he said, second.
Second Maccabees 15:22. Precept with that 2 Kings 19.
And also Isaiah
Yeah,
37.
36.
37 to 36.
Yeah, Isaiah 37 and 36. Brothers and sisters, got it? Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 20.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 8 and verse 20. And he told them of the battle that they had in Babylon with the Galatians, how they came, but 8,000 in all to the business with 4,000 Macedonians, and that the Macedonians, being perplexed, the 8,000 destroyed 120,000 because of the help that they had from heaven, and so received a great booty.
Man, that is heavy right there. And this is how you know that the Most High God was among them, because he always does what? Kill a lot with very few, with very, very little. You have 8,000 against what? And 120,000. Think about them odds, man. Read on now.
Hold on. And this is the history that, this is the history that this is why they want to take the apocryphal too. So when they be saying names, like in brothers, it just dropped a name in this verse, in this precept, the Galatians. Brothers better start thinking about that thing, man.
That's right.
So when they want to go, when they start talking about Galatians, why don't you let's go to the history of the Galatians, right? This is to give brothers, this is another weapon in your arsenal that brothers can put into their chamber, right? Go ahead.
Hey, that booty, what is that going into?
Well,
Treasure spoil, that's right. Make sure y'all be able to look up these things, man.
Read verse 21.
Come. 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 21. Thus, when he had made them bold with these words, and ready to die for the laws in the country,
And what are
for the laws in the country,
and ready to die for the laws and the country, man. Hey, brothers gotta be ready to put that thing on the line, man. Because some of us will lose our lives in this thing, man. But the Most High God is showing us that guess what? Regeneration. That guess what? He's gonna bring us back up. The brothers and sisters that died in this truth, manfully or womanly. These things are very important. That's why we have to constantly reinforce ourselves with the understanding of the scriptures. Read on.
he divided his army into 4 parts.
So he's using tactical strategy. Read on up. War strategy. Read on.
And joined with himself his own brethren, leaders of each band.
Read on.
To wit, Simon and Joseph and Jonathan, given each 1,500 men.
Read on.
Also, he appointed Eleazar to read the holy book.
Read that part again.
Also, he appointed Eleazar to read the holy book.
So when we ever get in turmoil, man, what should we be doing? Reading the holy book. Whenever it's time to go to war, we should be doing what? Reading the holy book, man. Spiritual battle. Read on up.
And when he had given them this watchman, the help of God, himself leading the first band, he joined battle with Nicanor.
He did what up?
He joined battle with Nicanor.
Read on up.
And by the help of the Almighty, they slew about 9,000 of their enemies, and wounded and maimed the most part of Nicanor's host.
Read on.
And so put all to flight.
Guess what? He put that first. Hey, remember in wars, you always have what sub wars. First battle, second battle, third battle. You also have decisive battles that can turn the war in your favor. Nicanor got put to flight on the first battle that they came up against Judas Maccabees, man, with considerably less men. So he knowing that the Most High God dealing with them on a higher level. That's why when you read on down what Capt Jerubbaal went into in verse 36, knew that they could not be hurt because they had God to defend them, man. They knew these things. Keep reading now.
Verse 25. And took their money that came to buy them and pursued them far, but lacking time, they returned.
Meaning you meant that for our destruction, but the Most High God meant it for our prosperity. Took that money that they used to buy people as slaves, and guess what? Returned that money back to the people, man. That's a glorious, man, that's a glorious thing, man. Read on, huh?
But lacking time, they returned. For it was the day before the Sabbath,
The preparation day. Read on.
and therefore they would no longer pursue them.
Man, guess what, man? We got the laws to keep, man. The Most High God already gave us into your hands, man. Hey, it's time to keep the laws, man. Read on.
So when they had gathered their armor together and spoiled their enemy,
And I'm gonna tell you, let that be for brothers and sisters, because the Most High God works in multiple ways. A lot of times he'll test you, but sometimes he'll give you what you want to see if you still gonna hold up your part of the agreement. Most High God deals like that, man. Brothers have to be careful. Sisters have to be careful, because if you're not doing what you're supposed to, as just as easily as he gave it to you, he can do what? Take it right back, man. For real.
read on now. So when they had gathered their armor together and spoiled their enemies, they occupied themselves about the Sabbath, yielding exceeding praise and thanks to the Lord,
Read on.
who had preserved them unto the day, which was the beginning of mercy, distilling upon them.
Read on.
And after the Sabbath, when they had given part of the spoils to the maid and to the widow,
To the what?
to the maid and to the widow,
They never forgot about the poor. Never. And that's something we can never do, even with brothers and sisters amongst us. That's why we have food pantries. Guess what? That's why we have the brotherhood, the sisterhood. Brothers and sisters need financial help. Guess what? Brothers have to come together as one man.
That's right.
And guess what? Help out brothers and sisters that are known to keep the commandments, man. It's the same things that, guess what, we ought to follow to this day, man. Read on now.
come. And after the Sabbath, when they had given part of the
Read
spoils,
verse 28 again.
and after the Sabbath,
Okay, it's like,
it's like verse 28. And after the Sabbath, when they had given part of the spoils to the maid and the widow,
read on.
and orphans, the residue they divided amongst themselves and their servants.
And they're what?
Amongst themselves and their servants.
Read on.
When this was done, and they had made a common supplication, They besought the merciful Lord to be reconciled with his servants forever.
With this what?
With his servants forever.
Who are the servants, Brother Hosea? What precept? Servants of the Most High. I need brothers quick on the trip. Brothers, quick. Come on, Brother Hosea. Servants is an easy one. What you got, Daoud? Help me out.
Isaiah 44:21.
Isaiah 44:21, Isaiah 45:4, many precepts. Isaiah 44:1, many precepts. I expect you to know those, Brother Hosea. We'll be all over groups, man. Read on now.
Verse 30.
Moreover,
Of those that were with Timotheus and Bacchus, who fought against them, they slew about 20,000, and very easily got high in strongholds, and divided amongst themselves many spoils, more, and made the maimed, orphans, widows, gay in the age also, equal in spoils with themselves. Read on. And when they had gathered their army together, they laid them up all carefully in convenient places. And the remnant of the spoils they brought to Jerusalem. Keep reading. They slew also Philocrates, that wicked person who was with Timotheus, and he annoyed the Jews many ways.
And had annoyed the Jews many ways, man. This dude was a thorn in our side, man. Ain't no telling what he was doing, man. Putting, guess what, unjust laws on us, putting tariffs, making us constantly pay taxes, all different type of oppression, man. And we have to understand these are the same people today. Esau comes from somewhere. That's why Christians are fixated on God loves everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. We're one color. When you pale as day and I'm guess what, dark as night. It makes absolutely no sense. We are not the same people, man. Like we say, they not like us, man. And people have to start believing that, man. Jump down to verse 34.
Verse 34. As for that most ungracious Nicanor, who had brought 1,000 merchants to buy Jews.
So we see, even when Capt Jerubbaal brought it out, he's still been in that wickedness, man. Even though the Most High God done put him to flight and some of his friends. Jump over to 2 Maccabees chapter 9.
2 Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 1. About that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia, for he had entered into the city.
Why did Antiochus come out of the city of Persia? Do any brother know? Brother Balaam, why did Antiochus come out of Persia?
That's a good question.
Well, answer.
I don't want to guess, so I don't know.
We'll say something.
Oh, okay. To see about what the Jews was doing in the battle of taking Nicanor.
To a degree, that's not the point that I want, but go ahead, brother, you're right.
time period was the Greco-Persian Wars.
That's right.
Battle of Sabbath.
And guess what? They overtook basically the Persians. This is why we constantly ask brothers, what is the captivities in order? So when you are reading these things, you are putting these things together. He's coming out of Persia because they just took him down. So we want brothers to know these things. We want sisters to know these things. It's very important to understand chronology and history, secular history in the Bible. It makes it much more easier to understand. You know, you got brothers and sisters out there that hate history. You should love your own damn history.
Right.
Because guess what? Bible history is world history. Because when you think about it, we're basically the stars on the planet Earth. We're the main characters in what people call history. And guess what? You should want to know about these things, man. What happened at this time? Who were the main players at that time? Who was the protagonist? Who was the antagonist? Read this.
Comes. The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 9 and verse 1. About that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia.
Read on.
For he had entered into the city called Persepolis and went about to rob the temple.
Read on.
And to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus, being put to flight of the inhabitants, returned with shame.
Read on.
Now when he had came to Ecbatana, news was brought him what had happened unto Nicanor and Timotheus.
So he heard about these things. Remember, Antiochus comes out of what? Dynasty. This one brother got to know this too. Who? Make it more plain. Which one of the? I don't even know. No, Seleucus. Out of what? The 4 generals that come from who? Alexander. Now the pieces of the puzzle, you can see it. So you have Alexander the Greek. He took over Persia and Medes. This is basically when the white man came into power. After Alexander the Greek, the freak Greek, died, he left it to his 4 generals. Seleucus, Ptolemy, who else? Cassander, and Lysimachus. Remember, they kept having kids. Out of the Seleucus comes Antiochus the first, the second, the third, the fourth. This is what we're getting into. This is Antiochus the first. The fourth, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because most I got jacked him up in this chapter. Keep reading. This dude was wicked as hell. Read verse 4 again. This is the history that brothers and sisters must understand. Read that out.
Verse 4. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore commanded he his chariot men to drive without ceasing and to dispatch the journey. The judgment of God now following him.
The judgment of God now following him. The Most High God jacked this dude up. Read on out.
Come. We had spoken proudly in this sword that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews.
You always see a history, that great and perpetual hatred that Esau have for Israelites. They always want to do what? Come and make it a great burying place. Nicanor said the same thing. Haman said the same thing. Now you got Antiochus the fourth, Epiphanes, saying the same thing. That goes into what Ezekiel chapter 36, a perpetual hatred, meaning never ending, meaning war from generation to generation, man. When the Most High God said these things, guess what? These things are happening. We don't know.
Verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague.
Read on.
For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowel that was remedieless, came upon him, and sore torments of the inner part.
So the Most High God jacked this dude up. Why? Read on.
Verse 6. In that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many and strange torments.
So just like he got a pain of the bowels, the Most High God did it because he tormented other men's bowels.
Man, well, it seems like the Lord just put prostate cancer on his ass.
So,
Something just real bad on me. You want that's the real magic. He put it in your face. I ain't just put that dang streak in them and let you know how the Most High God really works, man. Because like when that time comes, the Lord said, when he speak that, boom, put it on. You know what he did? Now he ain't got no remedy for it. All praise.
So we see where the Most High God jacked him up. We want the characters. So we have Nicanor, we're going into the main character, Nicanor and Antiochus. Thanks, Al. Let's jump up to it. That's all.
I was just let's go to First Maccabees chapter 7, verse 1. Just to prove the point, how you said Nicanor came out of Seleucus dynasty.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 7 and verse 1.
I just said you want to get the characters, man. You want to be able to run this thing down, run it through the wall, right? Be able to show them. Read this.
In the First Maccabees, chapter 7 and verse 1. In the 150th year, Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, departed from Rome and came up with a few men unto the city of the seacoast and reigned there. And as he entered into the palace of his ancestors, so it was that his forces had taken Antiochus and Lysias to bring them unto him.
So just to show you real quick, right there. Antiochus come from a Seleucid dynasty. All right, just to give you that whatever I'm trying to say. Yeah, that word that I did my hand like this, so that's running through it. Just to run it through it. I can do that. Now go ahead.
Let's go to. So we know the characters now. We getting to the heat of the matter. We know what their plot was to come against the Jews. It picks back up where? Second Maccabees chapter 14. Remember, brothers and sisters can ask questions as we're reading to make sure y'all understanding what we are reading. So the second Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 1.
Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
After 3 years was Judas informed that Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, having entered by the haven of Tripolis, with a great power and navy.
Watch this, read verse 2.
Had taken the country and killed Antiochus and Lysias, his protector.
Now, what Antiochus was this? The fifth. All praise. Because the fourth, how did the fourth die?
Wow.
When you read chapters over, the Most High God killed him with an incurable disease. So remember, you always had infighting amongst Esau. They can never have enough. They want his land. It's like that. You already got your land, which was a lot of land. Now you want my land. It's the same thing that's going on today. Because Trump has said that he want what? Greenland. Trump, what? What the hell do you want with Greenland? That makes absolutely no sense, man. Say either we can buy it or we'll take it by force. Makes absolutely no sense. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 5. The hell you want? Now he's talking about he want Palestine to put Trump casinos on the damn Mediterranean coast. I'm talking about wicked as hell.
Riviera.
Yeah. Or like Las Vegas Strip or something, man. People is crazy, man. People gonna start believing the Bible and who the wicked of the earth is, man.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man.
He is a what?
He is a proud man.
He transgressed by his philosophies, by his doctrines. Read on up.
Neither keep it at home.
Neither keep it at home, meaning they always in other lands. America has over hundreds and hundreds of embassies throughout the world. Read on up.
Who enlarged his desire as hell. It is as death.
Meaning when they come in there, they is as death in hell, man. Meaning they coming in, bringing all these doctrines, homosexuality. Guess what? Corporations that rob the people of their money. They coming in with what? Stealing resources. Read on up.
Come, who enlarged his desire as hell. And is as death.
And is as death. Read on up.
They cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heaped unto him all people.
It says that he cannot be satisfied. No matter what you do, no matter how much he take, it's not enough. It's never enough, man. That's why we see these things with Trump going on. It's the same characteristics, same spirit, man. That's why it's very important to understand who the audience and who the characters are in the Bible. Once you understand that, then the whole, how the world works makes total sense. I promise you, the brothers and sisters understand that, man. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 2.
Verse 14 and 3.
Start at 2.
Come.
The book of 2 Maccabees,
Chapter 14 and
verse 2,
had taken the country and killed Antiochus and Lysias his protector.
Had taken the country and killed Lysias, his protector. That's going into, he was a minister or an advisor. Jump over to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 9.
book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years.
How many?
Many years.
Going into that history, going into Antiochus the first, the second, the third, the fourth, going into Demetrius, going into Seleucus dynasty, read on.
And evil were multiplied in the earth.
This is a lot of times why they have took out the apocryphal, because it's showing you what nation started real evils in the earth. Think about it. It was already evil in the earth. But then the Most High God said, then evils were multiplied. They took evil to another level. Like we say, they even take out their own, man. So you know damn well they don't give a damn about any other nation. Can never be satisfied. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 14 and start at verse 3, y'all.
2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 3. Now one alchemist who had been high priest and had defiled himself willfully in the times of their mingling with the Gentiles, seeing that by no means he could save himself, nor have any more access to the holy altar.
Because we know the history of alchemists. You always have wicked men amongst Israel that'll do anything for the white man. Talking about straight cooned out, just so he can be set up in a position of authority. You always have that, man. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 11 and verse 48. You always have wicked men amongst your nation, man, that love the ways of Esau and the other nations more than the ways of the Most High.
The book of St. John, chapter 11 and verse 48. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place in nation.
So it's still the same things. During this time, the wicked and the coons of our people at this time were who? The Pharisees and the scribes. Because what? Rome gave them what? Power and place in society. So it's the same thing. Remember, it's always the same tactic. Always. Let's go back. Second Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 4.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14, verse 4. Came to King Demetrius in the 150th year, presenting unto him a crown of gold and a palm, and also the bows which were used solemnly in the temple.
Man, did you see what this brother was wicked as hell. So he took the things that were for the Most High in the temple and gave them to the king, man. Talk about wicked as hell, man. Wicked. Let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1. Y'all already know. 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. We always have that. Brothers and sisters have to watch out for it.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen.
With the who?
With the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
So we have always had wicked men amongst our people that love to make covenants and agreements with the heathen. The classic. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 16.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 16. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them.
Verse 16, Salakia.
That is 16.
15, Salakia.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their father, but liking the glory of the Grecians, best of all, by reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers.
Now, what sense does that make, man? It makes absolutely no sense. Read on up.
whose custom they followed so earnestly,
Like alchemists, read on,
and unto whom they desired to be like in all things.
read on.
For it is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of God, but the time following should declare these things.
The time following shall declare those things, meaning what? When the Most High God sends Christ back with judgment. That is the time that's going to declare the things that you have done and the works that you have done. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 14. In verse 5.
So in first the precept that Capt pulled in First Maccabees chapter 7, this Antiochus was Antiochus the fifth too, right?
Yes,
It was
this is the
50th
fifth.
year. So they the same.
Because remember, this is the one that he killed. He killed his son to be able to take his position in power.
And you see, that's what these pastors, these are alchemists, man.
That's right.
They are making covenants with the heathen, man, to keep us down, for them to stay in a great position. Oh, 501(c)(3), we gotta pay taxes. Oh, cool. Make some money off our own people. Oh, cool.
That's right.
I just tell a couple lies, yeah, we with it. They the pastor today, man. That's the same spirit. Go ahead.
Read verse 4 again to show you something.
14. Yes. The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 4. Came to King Demetrius in the 151st year, presenting unto him a crown of gold.
He gave him a crown of gold, read.
And a palm.
Man, what does that mean? Let me see what that means. I want to know what that means. Because like when you read scripture, sometimes you can just you be thinking like, man, what? Especially like I guess when I read something so much, like certain words stick out. Let's talk about gave him a poem.
Like agreement.
It's like agreement, or it's like agreement, or I'm gonna give you power over me. You see that he gave a crown of gold, meaning what? I'm gonna give you a crown of gold, meaning I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna let you be my king, and I'm gonna give you palm. Meaning I'm gonna give you control over me. Think about that, brothers and sisters. That's exactly what this alchemist was goddamn doing. What you say?
He blessed him.
Yes, blessing. I'm gonna give you my blessing to rule over. Right? Yes,
That's right.
Exactly.
And who they do that to today? SIBO, but the Pope at the Vatican.
Yes.
You have America, all of them have to come and see the Pope eventually. Same thing, same tactics. Like you say, brothers and sisters, y'all see these things, but y'all not able to put these things together with the Bible. You have to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Like I say, like kiss the ring, that's a part of a poem. Like these are, like you said, these are the traditions of what Esau or tactics Esau used, so you can identify your markers, right? Go ahead.
Read on now, verse 5.
Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 5. Howbeit, having gotten opportunity to further his foolish enterprise, and being called into council by Demetrius, and asked how the Jews stood affected, and what they intended, he answered thereunto. Read on. Those of the Jews that be called Assyrians, whose captain is Judas Maccabeus, nourish war and are seditious, and will not let the realm be in peace.
How the hell we gonna let the realm be in peace when y'all killing and oppressing our people? And these are the tactics that Esau put on us. Remember, they said that in slavery. Who remember what they said in slavery? If a slave ran away, they said that it was something wrong with that slave. Yes, if they term, brothers have to look that up. It's actually a term that they made for it, man. They said that slaves that ran away from their masters, they had a mental disorder.
Oh,
I can't remember the name. You probably have to look it up. Somebody Google it, brother. I'm talking about wicked as hell. Read on.
Come,
Hold on, what, read that again,
come. Those of the Jews that be called Assyrians, with S-E-D,
I said,
Assyrians, whose captain is Judas Maccabees, nourish war and are seditious. It will not let the realm be in peace.
I'm glad y'all pronounced that word, because I never pronounced it right, appreciate that. But you see this fool, he done bowed down to him, he gave him a crown, he done bowed down to him. Now, he's giving them what our people is doing. Now he's trying to give them the blueprint of what Judas Maccabees is doing, right? That's equivalent to what these preachers and Christian pastors and all these religions, they trying to give them people the blueprint of what we got going. And the funny thing about it, we ain't got nothing going but giving out precepts. That's it. They want to know some big plan that we got. We ain't got no military might. We ain't got nothing that we can to destroy them physically. They make all the guns, they make all the bullets, they control war, they control finances, they got land, they got food, they got everything. Only thing that the Christian pastors, what they do, they literally set up debates to combat us with the scriptures. And guess what they do? They record it, they take down notes to have another debate. To do what? To go run back to Master. Hey, Master, they gave us this. Guess who don't give a damn? Esau, guess who don't give a damn? We don't give a damn. All right on, man. Guess who? All y'all pastors that want to stick in their religion, go run back to them. We don't care. We're going to still keep pushing. Thus said Yahweh. Go ahead.
That term is called, it was co-founded by Samuel Adolphus Cartwright, and it's called Drapetomania. Drapetomania, Drapetomania, meaning that was the disorder that they put on our people, on the slaves that tried to run away from their captors, man. Crazy, man. They actually gave it a medical term. Crazy as hell, man. Crazy, man. What you been saying? Let's go back. Crazy, man.
Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 7. Therefore, I being deprived of mine ancestors' honor, I mean the high priesthood, and now come hither. First, verily, for the unfeigned care I have of things pertaining to the king. And second, even for that I intend the good of my own country.
No, he did, man. He's worried about his damn self, man. In positions of power. Read on now.
For all our nation is in no small misery through the unadvised dealing of them aforesaid.
Read on now.
Wherefore, O king, seeing thou knowest all these things, be careful for the country in our nation, which is pressed on every side, according to the clemency that thou readily showest unto all.
And this also goes back to the counsel that Mordecai gave to Esther. Meaning, when you see your people being destroyed, don't think for 1 second that they're not going to come against your behind.
That's right.
You may have a sister out there that's very beautiful. You thinking, hey, guess what? I'm going to be Esau's bed wench just so I can survive. But what about the state of the rest of your people? Or that big brother that's out there strong and fighting hard for Esau? You know, modern day today, what was it, Samuel Jackson's name? Stephen Pritchett.
Who that nigga?
Oh, that man. I'm talking about, man, and that's what Esau has done a marvelous job at doing. Programming our people to where they don't even have to fight. They send our people out there to fight. The hardest for them, man. Read on up.
Come. Verse 10. For as long as Judas liveth, it is not possible that the state should be quiet.
So you see what this wicked brother is saying, man. This brother Judas Maccabees is fighting for the decayed state of our people. And you have a brother that loves being under oppressive Greeks and Romans. Read on up.
This was no sooner spoken of him, but others of the king's friends, being maliciously set against Judas, did more incense to Demetrius,
Pay more homage to him. Read on up.
and forthwith calling Nicanor, who had been master of the elephant, and making him governor over Judea. He sent him forth, commanding him to slay Judas and to scatter them that were with him, and to make alchemists high priests of the great temple.
Read on up.
Then the heathen that had fled out of Judea from Judas came to Nicanor by flocks, thinking the harm and calamity of the Jews to be their welfare.
All praise to the Most High. Read on up.
That masters of the elephant, what's that brothers? What does that mean? He had all the beasts, but what does that, what is that in tune? He will be equivalent to what today? I'm not a
What would
ring.
the elephants use for?
War.
War. So he'll be equivalent to what? Like a general. That's he equivalent to a general in the army. He's the, like I say, the master of the elephant, meaning he controls the basically the movement of the war. He controls the outcome of the war. What do you think they use beasts for? To break down walls, to break down barriers. This is what these elephants was used for. This like I say, this would be equivalent to being a general today. Go ahead.
Read on up. Somebody had their hand up back there, a sister. I just saw that. I mean earlier. Man, Mr. Salaki. He read.
Come. Verse 13, commanding him to slay Judas and to scatter them that were with him, to make alchemists high priests of the great temple.
Read on.
Then the heathen that had fled out of Judea from Judas came to Nicanor by flock, thinking the harm and calamities of the Jews to be their welfare.
Read on.
Now when the Jews heard of Nicanor's coming, and that the heathen were up against them, they cast earth upon their head.
Read on.
And made supplication to him that had established his people forever, and who always helpeth his portion with manifestation of his presence.
So what do? They humbled themselves. Guess what? They fasted. They prayed, man. Cast earth and ashes upon their head, meaning they took themselves to a lower and humble level, man. And this is something that brothers and sisters can never lose sight of. When things are hitting the fan and you have to get down on your knees, humble yourself before the Most High, throw up a prayer, throw up a fast, stay in the scriptures, seek out counseling. These are our weapons against this spiritual warfare that we face with, man, on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times, brothers and sisters are overtaken by those things because you're not utilizing one of those four weapons. It's always a breakdown of one of those four things, man. Especially when we bring these things up in council. Read on now.
So at the commandment of the captain, they removed straightways from thence, and came near unto them at the town of Dazara. Now Simon, Judas' brother, had joined battle with Nicanor.
Read on.
But was somewhat discomfited through the sudden silence.
Read on.
Nevertheless, Nicanor, hearing of the manliness of them with Judas and the courageousness that they had to fight for their country, durst not to try the matter by war.
So guess what? What did he do? He changed tactics. Let's go to the book of, man, I just had that. Improving his mind shall change. What on? No, I won't. His mind, even Habakkuk. Dang, I didn't want to do that. His mind shall change. Improving his power.
1 and 10.
In Habakkuk?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is that it? Let me see. Yes, thanks. In the spirit, brother, your call. Read that right quick.
You want to start at 10?
Yeah, start at verse 10.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 1 and verse 10. And they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be.
So like you start up at verse 6 right quick.
Come. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 1 and verse 6. For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land, to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs.
So remember, Habakkuk was during the time of the Babylonian captivity. But on a deeper spiritual level, this is going into who? Esau. Because they always march into a land that is not theirs. It's the same characteristics, same spirit. Y'all have to be able to see these things in the spirit. Jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10, and they shall
Start at verse 8.
Verse 8, their horses are swifter than the leopard, and are more fierce than the evening wolf.
Read on.
And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horse shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasten to eat.
So the Most High God is always giving us what? Context clues to show you who this really is in the spirit. Read on.
They shall come all for violence. Their faces shall sup as the east wind, and they shall gather the captivity as the sand.
Read on up.
And they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn unto them, and they shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. This is the point. Read on. Then shall his mind change.
So when Esau was taking us down, remember they had to take us down. I'm talking about with violence. But once they got us under control, read verse 11 again.
Then shall his mind change.
Hey, let's bring them into our governments to do what? So we can be the workers of the society to keep it built up. That's what it means. Their mind shall change. Read on now. They no longer coming at us with the sword off the back. They do it under the cover of darkness. What you got, Op?
So that would be like the, because you know everybody always takes something from Egypt. That'd be the same thing as them taking taskmasters.
That's right.
off people.
Dealing with us wisely. Same thing in the spirit, Op. The same thing. Brothers can put that precept right there. Read verse 11 again.
Then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend, imputing this his power unto his God.
Imputing his, read that part again, imputing this his power.
Imputing this his power unto his God.
Meaning gun, drugs, and oil. Long as they bringing these things in, long as we are the workers of the society, they could care less, man. Because guess what? They done beat us down so far to where we already know what our positions are. That's what it means. He shall change his mind. It's the same tactic that, guess what, Nicanor was doing. He knew he couldn't fight against us straight up. So let me change tactics. That's what Esau have done today. Let me put the man versus the woman. Let me put light versus dark skin. Let's put the old versus the young. Now you got YNs just totally off the damn chain now. You got sisters, guess what, with that masculine, manly spirit to where, guess what, it's no unity nowhere amongst our people, man. Esau have done a tactical job against us, man. Go back to the book of 2 Maccabees. Got some up?
No, go ahead.
You want to
Talking
start
about you now got them legs, boy. He using them things full hand now, ain't running all over the place. 2 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse
19.
yeah.
And real quick, that imputing this his power to his God, that is going to like making you agreeing with something that is undesirable. Like what having us working, being workers in our kingdom. These are the taxes that they put upon us, man. All right, by having you thinking and calling each other B's and H's and nigga this and hold that.
That's right.
That these are imputed. That's not imputing their power. Man. It's making you to think, degrading yourself to thinking that it's something great.
That's right.
It's having you thinking that, oh yeah, me being called a nigga. You can't say nigga. Nigga, only we can say nigga. That's undesirable things that they put up in you to make you believe that it's good on it. That's tactics. Those are heavy tactics they put upon us. Imputing his power to his God. In this instance, right? Like you said, man. Same thing. Go ahead.
Read verse 18.
2 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 18. Nevertheless, Nicanor, hearing of the manliness of them that were with Judas and the courageousness that they had to fight for their country, durst not to try the matter by the sword.
So, like you say, he's changing tactics. He's no longer coming with them with the sword. He's trying to use what? Craftiness. Read on out. Subtlety. Read on.
Wherefore he sent Poseidon and Theodotus and Mattathias to make peace.
To make what?
To make peace.
What precepts are brothers thinking about? Let's get there right quick, man. Psalms 55 and 21. They sending them to make peace, but guess what? All is war. That's why the scriptures tell you to what? Never trust thine enemies, man. Like the Most High God is reinforcing these things because guess what? These things are going to happen again. Like we say, at the heat of Jacob's trouble, don't think he's not going to try to reach out to brothers and sisters that may have a heart. Hey, I'll give you some food. Just show us where they're at. Tell us where they're at. Denounce your God. Call on the name of Sejur Borgia and not on the Most High. Eat this pork. You know, tell your family to take those fringes off. Don't think that brothers won't be, guess what, faced with those particular options, man. Think about these things in these latter days.
Why do you think like all our movie stars and actors and all these people, why do you think they working so much mischief and evil? Why do you think so? They learned it from Esau. Why do they be like, well, make them dress up like this, make them do this, let's see what he gonna do. That's the same thing same text that they use for, hey man, give them this, see if they gonna do this. Hey man, y'all give them this right here and see how he gonna move now. Right? You'll keep going to the point that, you know, it'll have some brothers, like say, if it was possible to do what? To the very elect, man. Right? This is a heavy thing.
Read that in the book of Psalms 55:21.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 21.
Bring it up. Verse 20.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 20. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant.
Most High God said they always break their covenant. They never have peace. Read on up.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Read on up.
His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
So we see that they always are being tricked to like using subtlety and guess what? Cunning with cunningness. That goes back to the spirit that guess what Esau had? A cunning hunter. A lot of times when brothers think about those things, we only think about violence. No. That's not the only way that they are cunning hunters. So like you. Read this. Give me the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. Cunning hunter, so like you.
The book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wicked. Read on. Though he humble himself.
Meaning it takes iron a long time to rust, but eventually it does rust. It's what the Most High God is comparing them to. Read on.
Though he humble himself and go crouching.
Hey, I love you, brother. We're brothers in Christ. Read on.
And go crouching. Yet take good heed.
It tells you to take good heed. Read on up.
And beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his wrath has not been altogether wiped away.
Because that rust, that wickedness is always there. They're always constantly thinking about trying to what? Overcome us. They know that they cannot fight us one-on-one. They know these things. You don't think Esau know that? I was looking at YouTube the other day, and it surprised me. He even had the white. He came out just like, are blacks better than whites in sports?
Oh yes.
You seen that? I'm talking about that thing was good as hell. Yes, they are. Yes, I mean it's without a shadow of a doubt. 90% football, 90% basketball, 90% baseball. All of the most entertaining sports we dominate in. We don't give a damn about no hockey. Even though our people played that first, we still don't care about it. Women, none of those things, even though we still have brothers that'll come up in that thing and dominate that thing, man.
Because
they choose to.
Because even in baseball, who dominates baseball?
Hispanics.
The Northern Kingdom,
That's
boy.
right.
The Dominicans taking over, man, baseball, man. Right? So they came. Come on, man.
Man, imagine if we locked in, we locked in on golf. We're gonna take that too. Tiger Woods. But just imagine if our people, man, they ain't got nothing coming.
Track.
All right.
Track. For real, all the most entertaining sports, we don't give a damn about no long distance. We want to see the fastest person on the earth, man.
Why do you
Damn
think?
can have it.
Why do you think now in the Olympics they got all this extra stuff you had never seen before? Break dancing. What the hell?
Terrible.
Man, you got the little thing with it.
Pickleball,
What the hell is that,
Man,
man?
come on, man. Man, gonna have Uno in that mug.
Hey, man, don't put no Uno up in that thing. Israel will come up in that thing, say, turn that thing off the bone, boy. Go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 14. Second Maccabees chapter 14, verse 19. Read that out. Come. The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 19. Therefore he sent Poseidonus and Theodotus and Mattathias to make peace. So when they had taken long advisement thereupon, and the captain had made the multitude acquainted therewith, and it appeared that they were all of one mind. They consented to the covenant. Read on. It was a mistake. Read on. And appointed a day to meet in together by themselves. And when the day came, stools were set for either of them.
They come to do what? To talk about the terms.
Right.
Ending the war, but we know that it's what? Trickery on Esau's behalf.
Read on. Judas placed armed men ready in convenient places, lest some treachery should be suddenly practiced by the enemy. So Judas understood these things, man. Read on. So they made a peaceable conference. Read on. Now Nicanor abode in Jerusalem and did no hurt, but sent away the people that came flocking unto him.
This is going into the heathens that was complaining about Judas Maccabees doing his exploits. Read on.
And
So remember, he's using tactics. He sent them away because they didn't want no uproar. He wanted to make it seem like what? Everything was good.
Right.
Esau is masterful at doing that, man.
Right.
And he come with, guess what? Peace, then he's gonna spring war upon you, man.
Right.
Read on. Catching you off guard. Read on.
And he would not willingly have Judas out of his sight, for he loved the man from his heart.
Think about that, man. That's some heavy stuff. Why did he love Judas? Any brother know? Why did he love Judas? Go ahead, Doc.
Because he was the key to taking over Israel.
That's part of it. How he fought and how his tactics were great. They understood and they loved, similar to Hannibal. I don't know if brothers and sisters understand about General Hannibal that took down Rome by using elephants during the second and the first Punic Wars, man. He's from the tribe of Asher when you're reading the book of Babylon and Timbuktu. He used elephants to come across to fight them on their territory, man. They still use his tactics today, man. This is the person that Denzel Washington is playing. I don't know if brothers know about that. Hannibal was a great, great general, man. So many historians, many of Edomites, they love Hannibal for his war tactics. And many of those things are still studied today. Read on up.
Why do you think, just like if you think about, let's go back, I know touching on sports again. Every time you get an athlete, why you think they do so many studies over that bug? Now you got all of a sudden you got Edomites that can outrun a Jake in track. Or you got an Edomite winning a dunk contest. An Edomite is a heavyweight champ. Where do these things come from? These people literally study, right? They literally study us, man. Go to Psalms right quick before we head up there. Go to Psalm chapter 56. Watch this. Psalm chapter 56, start at verse 1. This is what Esau do, though, right? Read this.
The book of Psalms, chapter 56 and verse 1. Be merciful unto me, O God.
I read.
For man would swallow me up. He fighting daily, oppressing me.
Say he fighting daily, oppressing me. This is what the same thing Judas was going into, right? But read.
Come, my enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me, O thou most high.
So he says, many people that fight against me. This is King David talking about many people fight against me, right? Read.
What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee.
So he said, anytime that I'm afraid, Lord, I'm going to trust in you, right? Read.
In God, I will praise his word. In God, I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do to me.
He said, I'm not going to fear what they can do to the flesh, right? But read.
Every day they rest my word.
He said, every day they do what?
They rest my
He
words.
said every day they rest his words, right? And he's going to explain it, right? Read.
All their thoughts are against me for evil.
Say every thought that he got is going to be against him for evil, right? Read.
They gather themselves together. They hide themselves.
So what did they vote? That's what we just read right then. We see them gather themselves against Judas. He said they hide themselves, meaning what? They hide their secret counsel. Right, read.
They mark my steps.
They mark his steps, read.
When they wait for my soul.
Read.
Shall they escape by iniquity?
Uh-huh.
In thine anger, cast down the people.
Right, read.
God, thou tellest my wanderings. Put thou my tears into thy bottle.
He said, dang, that's heavy, man. I don't know if brothers understand. He said, thou tellest my wonders, they put my tears in a bottle. That's pretty tough. Right? Read.
Are they not in thy book?
So he said, is they not in the book? What? Book of remembrance.
That's right.
Right? Thinking about how Esau, like they literally study the things that we do. Every step that we make, every time they see something, why do you think when they see somebody do real good, all the internet run to them? Everybody run to the person that's got something new. They run to the person that's got something inventive because of when they see something great, they want to go check it out and see how they explore it. If anybody do anything good, guess what you're going to have to do? Sell your paddock. You got to sell your land. It's going to be always something that they're going to try to have the advantage and step over so they can make sure that they can. That's why he loved Judas Maccabee. Because Judas Maccabee was a master of war. And if we can get the master of war to teach us how to war, we can defeat everything.
That's right.
Right? Go ahead.
Read on, huh? Yeah. Second Maccabees chapter 14, start at verse 25. Yeah.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 25. He prayed him also to take a wife and to beget children. So he married, was quiet.
Wicked as hell. And why do you think he wanted to do that? So he could settle down and forget about the oppressive state of his people? Man, come on, man. Tactics, man. Read on out.
And took part of his life.
Read on.
But the alchemists, perceiving the love that was betwixt them.
And just touch sports again. What do all the athletes take?
Right.
You see, it goes into how they study us. They want you. Hey, go take one of these women right here.
That's right.
She gonna be submissive. She gonna do all of these things to you.
So guess what? They can keep that money in their side of the family. They try to shun your family and keep that money on the Edomite side, man. You know, that thing had been working, man. Read on out.
But alchemists, perceiving the love that was betwixt them, and considering the covenants that were made.
And I'm gonna tell you, hold up, that thing is heavy because we have to go back. Did he really love him? How do we know that he really didn't actually love the man Judas? Because it goes back to something I said earlier, Ezekiel. They have a perpetual hatred. Do brothers understand that? This is where brothers have to put the precepts in the mix to understand that. They have a perpetual hatred, even from Esau and Jacob. They know these things. They even know how the Most High God feels about them, man. I got to get that book. It's a book called The Chosen People of the Carcasses. And Esau, well, I'm talking about, but it is a great, I got to get that book. They said it. I mean, they just put it out there on the line. What if you knew that God hates you? You would try to change everything that God loves into being that person and make God's chosen people believe that they're not God's chosen people.
Who is that who is Edom?
That's the part of that book too, but it's also chosen. It's a more good information. It's Who is Edom? That's a good book that brothers need to try to get. And The Chosen People of the Carcasses. Read on out.
Come. And considering the covenants that were made, came to Demetrius and told him that Nicanor was not well affected toward the state.
Read on.
For that he had ordained Judas, a traitor to his realm, a traitor to his realm.
Read on out.
To be the king's successor.
So then he go run into Demetrius trying to tell, that him and Nicanor got something going, man, which was a lie. Read on out.
Then the king, being in a rage and provoked with the accusations of the most wicked man, wrote to Nicanor, signifying that he was much displeased with the covenant, and commanded him that he should send Maccabees prisoner in all haste unto Antioch.
He's saying, quit what you're doing with your like with Maccabees. Maccabees, hey, get to the business, man. Read on now.
When this came to Nicanor's hearing,
Infatuation. Read on now.
he was much confounded in himself, and took it grievously that he should make void the articles which were agreed upon, the man being in no fault.
Read on.
But because there was no dealing against the king, he watched his time to accomplish this thing by policy.
By what?
By policy.
So by policy, frame it law by mischief. Give me the book of Daniel, chapter 8, verse 25. So remember, Esau changes tactics by doing what? Putting certain laws and policies into play.
Told on him, didn't he?
Told everything. He's jealous.
Bro, I'm talking about wicked, boy. Daniel chapter 8 and verse 25.
The book of Daniel, chapter 8 and verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
And that's what they do. They cause craft, meaning trickiness and what? Subtlety. Read on up.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart.
Read on.
And by peace.
And by what?
And by peace.
Read on up.
Shall destroy many.
So they say peace, and guess what? Come with swords. Many of the many broken covenants that they made with the Native American Indians, which is of the tribe of Gad. Read on up.
He shall also stand up against the princes of princes. But he shall be broken without hand.
The prince of princes is going into who? Christ. The Most High God is going to have Christ break him without hand. Meaning it ain't going to be no fight at all. It's going to be easy, man. Let's go back.
One big.
What's that? Second Maccabees. Chapter 14 and verse 29 again.
The book of Second Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 29.
Actually, I put that Daniel's 8:25.
But because there was no dealing against the king, he watched his time to accomplish his thing by policy. Notwithstanding, when Maccabees saw that Nicanor began to churlish unto him, and that he entreated him more roughly than he was wont,
He perceived in the spirit that he wasn't acting the same. Read on up.
perceiving that such sour behavior came not of good. He gathered together not a few of his men and withdrew himself from Nicanor.
Read on.
But the other, knowing that he was notably prevented by Judas' policy,
Read on.
came into the great and holy temple and commanded the priests that were offering the usual sacrifices to deliver him the man.
Read on.
And when they swear that they could not tell where the man was, whom he sought, he stretched out his right hand toward the temple and made an oath in this manner: if you will not deliver me Judas, as a prisoner, I will lay this temple of God even with the ground, and I will break down the altar and erect a notable temple of Bacchus unto Bacchus.
And the Most High God, like hell he is, like hell. You're going to have hell to pay. Remember, when the nation, especially Esau, start getting pride, that's when the Most High God intervenes on these things. Remember, we just had somebody do this before him. Who did that? Antiochus the what? The fourth. Saying the same thing. I'm going to lay this temple to the ground and destroy these people, man. You had Haman saying the same thing, and the Most High God did what? Destroyed him. Each and every time they get too prideful, guess what? The Most High God intervenes. Read on now.
After these words, he departed. Then the priests lifted up their hands towards heaven and besought him that was ever defender of their nation, saying in this manner: Thou, O Lord of all things, who has need of nothing, was pleased that the temple of thine habitation should be among us. Therefore now, O holy Lord of all holiness, keep this house ever undefiled.
Read that part again, huh?
Keep this house ever undefiled.
And a lot of times brothers have to take this in consideration, not about a building, but about your temple, your body, and your spirit, man. Brothers have to take this, sisters have to take this in consideration, that the Most High God keep your spirit undefiled in this truth, man. Because the thing is, you can get cast out. It's nothing to the Most High God to raise down one brother and to set up another brother in this place, man. We have a prime example of that happening early this week, man. Think about these things, man. Read on up.
Keep this house ever undefiled, which lately was cleansed, and stop every unrighteous mouth.
Hold up. When was it cleansed? What brother know? Raise your hand. Or what sister know? When was the house cleansed? What you got? Now, brother's not sure. We just went over it earlier. What you got, sister? Now, feast of dedication. Remember, it's going in chronological order. We cleaned it. First Maccabees, chapter 4. Read on now. So y'all put that there. Read on.
Now was there accused unto Nicanor, one Razus, one of the elders of Jerusalem,
Read on.
a lover of his countrymen, and a man of a very good report,
Read on.
who for his kindness was called a father of the Jews.
Man, this is a great title to have. Man, this brother had an excellent report, man, in the walk, man. Read on.
Verse 38, for in the former times, when they mingled not themselves with the Gentiles,
Meaning we weren't mixing with the other nations according to Deuteronomy 7:3. Read on now.
he had been accused of Judaism, and did boldly Jephthah, boldly Jephthah his body and life with all vehemency for the religion of the Jews.
Meaning he was dedicated to keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Read on now.
So Nicanor, willing to declare the hate that he bare unto the Jews, sent above 500 men of war to take him. For he thought by taking him to do the Jews much hurt.
So he thought by taking this man of a good report, it would cause Judas Maccabees to come out. This is another strategy. Read on up.
Now, when the multitude would have taken the tower and violently broken into the utter door, and bade that fire should be brought to burning, he being ready to be taken on every side, fell upon his sword, choosing rather to die manfully than to come into the hands of the wicked, to be abused otherwise, than beseeming his noble birth.
So he rather just fall on the sword. He rather fall on the sword than to be taken prisoner by these other nations. Read on up.
Who else did it? Saul did it.
That was my question. So that's not going on. That's what I'm thinking.
I know we kind of talked about it. You know, we reconcile it by, because we know in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, let's get there. It tells you don't pour upon your hand death. But remember, like with King Saul and with this brother, we knew that it'd be much worse to make a mockery of a brother that had a good report of the truth. You know what I'm saying? What is that? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 11. 12. Thanks, huh? But this is the key. Read this on. Now, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 12.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 12. Seek not death in the error of your life.
Read it again.
Seek not death in the error of your life.
What's the key point in that? Error. But we know that this brother was not in error. Read on.
And pull not upon yourself destruction with the works of your hands.
So it goes to a deeper point to where, how can I put this? He's looking out for the nations, because anytime we see our people that had a good report just give easily into the hand of the other nations, that puts a particular spirit out there as well.
It's like a sacrifice.
Yeah. Let's go back to Second Maccabees. What you got?
Both cases, they both have been treachery with the Dine-In.
Yeah, to a degree, but we know that it's kind of similar, but it's not, because we know that Saul was wicked. You know what I'm saying? And he was in error. You know what I'm saying? Without a shadow of a doubt.
Because I mean, you got to think too. I mean, it wasn't a strange thing for us to do, but they also understood what regeneration. Right. But like I say, was it lawful for it to do? We can't see it in the scripture was lawful for it to do it.
Right? Because I'm gonna tell you, as we read on, you'll understand it. Read verse 42.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse 42. Choosing rather to die manfully than to come into the hands of the wicked, to be abused otherwise than beseemed his noble birth. But missing his stroke through haste.
He missed the stroke.
Read on up. The multitude also rushing within the doors. He ran boldly up to the wall and cast himself down manfully among the thickest of them.
So he stabbed himself, but he missed a vital organ. So then he jumped down off a wall, a high place. Read on.
But then quickly giving back, and a space being made, he fell down into the midst of the void.
Read on.
Nevertheless, while there was yet breath within him, being inflamed with anger, he rose up, and though his blood gushed out like spouts of water, and his wounds were grievous, yet he ran through the midst of the throng, and standing upon a steep rock, when as his blood was now quite gone, he plucked out his bow, and taking in both his hands, he cast them up on the throne, and calling upon the Lord of light to do what? In spirit, to restore him those again, he thus died.
So we see even after all that, and he's, guess what? The Most High God didn't allow him to die to his last beat. So he stabbed himself, he didn't die. He jumped off a cliff, he didn't die. He pulled out his bowels, and the Most High God, he prayed first that the Most High God will restore him like I was going into with regeneration. So even if, brothers, we have to always remember, even if you're trying to do that, if the Most High God don't get a say so, it won't go through. That thing will not go through, man. Do brothers understand that? We don't know.
Chapter 15 and verse 1. But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria.
Samaria is what?
Ephraim, read on up. Resolved without any danger to set upon them that Sabbath day.
Read on.
Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, "Oh, destroy now so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day."
Read on.
Which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days.
Meaning we have to acknowledge and keep the Sabbath. Read on.
Then this most ungracious wretch demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath to be kept. When they said, there is in heaven a living Lord,
Read on.
mighty, who commanded the seventh day to be kept.
That's a mighty precept. You got to keep that thing awesome. Brothers got to write that thing down, man, when brothers out there teaching, man. Read verse 4 again.
And when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty, who commanded the seventh day to be kept.
The what day?
The seventh day to be kept.
The seventh day to be kept, man. And this is during the time. This is before the Romans.
This is before the roll.
No, yeah, well, wait to bring this thing out. I love you digging the car in her side. It's shots fired a little bit, man. Love, brothers bring out great history, but I'm like, this is before them, man.
Read on. Verse 5. Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business. Yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done.
Read on.
So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument. Is that monument? Yeah, a monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him.
Read on.
But Maccabees had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him.
Ever sure confidence.
Read on. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven. And now
Hold up. Read that part again.
But to remember the help.
Verse 8.
Verse 8 from the top. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them.
Read on.
But to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven.
And that's why we constantly go through the scriptures, brothers and sisters, to remember the help that we see from the Most High in former times. We can never lose sight of that, man. I'm gonna tell you, when brothers and sisters get in their deepest, darkest time, this is a scripture that brothers and sisters must remember, man. You must remember. Go ahead.
I'm just talking about ballet thinking.
We already know what it is, man. If brothers know and sisters know, you know.
Read on, huh? But to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty. Read on. And so comforting them out of the law. Read it again. So comforting them out of the law. Read it again. And so comforting them out of the law. And so comforting them out of the law. Give me John chapter 14, verse 26. This is what pre-sales brothers have to be thinking upon. Comforter, that's right. Book of John chapter 14, verse 26. Read on. Read this out. The book of St. John chapter 14 and verse 26. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, read on, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things. Read that part again. He shall teach you all things. Things that you need for salvation. Things that you need to endure in this truth, man. Read on. And bring all things to your remembrance. Whatsoever I have said unto you. Let's go back. Second Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 9. 15 and 9. Thanks, Alex. The book of Second Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 9. And so comforting them out of the law and the prophets, and with all putting them in mind of the battle. Putting them in what? In mind of the battle that they won afford. He made them more cheerful. More what? More cheerful. This goes into what? I'll keep reading. And when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them their charge, showing them therewithal the falsehood of the heathen. What precept is this? Read verse 10 again. And when he had stirred up their minds, how did he stir up their minds? By way of remembrance. What's the precept? Let's get there. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Make sure y'all write that next to verse 10. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Read this right quick. And I got a question. The book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. By way of what? By way of remembrance. So who said it first? Maccabees or Paul? How you know? Oh, praise God. I just have to be on that. Do brothers understand that? Do sisters understand that? Read on. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees 15 and verse 10. We almost through, y'all. Book of 2 Maccabees. Chapter 15 and verse 10. And we had stirred up their minds. He gave them their charge, showing them therewithal the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oaths. And that's constantly we have to show brothers. That's why we out there to show our people the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oaths. That's why we have those posters out there. That's why we have the information showing you how they have broken every covenant, man. The false image of Jerubbaal, that's a false oath, man. The falsehood of the heathen. Read on now. Verse 11. Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with defensive shield and spear, read on, as with comfort and good word. That's what we tell brothers. This is what? Not a physical fight. This is Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6, but this is a spiritual fight. Right. Read on now. And besides that, he told them a dream worthy to be believed, as if it had been so indeed, which did not a little rejoice them. Read on. And this was his vision, that Onias, who had been high priest, a virtuous and a good man, read on, reverent in conversation, gentle in condition, well spoken also, read on, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue, read on, holding up his hands, prayed for the whole body of the Jew. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, these are great attributes and characteristics to have in brothers and in sisters, man. Brothers have to pay attention to these characteristics, man. It says a virtuous and a good man, reverent in conversation, gentle in condition, well spoken also, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue, man. These are great characteristics to have in this truth, man. Go ahead.
This is the type of brother that, or if it was a sister that was in that frame of mind, these are the type of people that you would want in that James chapter 5 be praying for you, right? That's the perfect example for this, man. Right? Well, sister, y'all make sure y'all write that down beside this, man. 16 on that.
Keep reading out. Verse 13. This done, in like manner, there appeared a man with gray hairs and exceeding glorious, who was of a wonderful and excellent majesty. Then Onias answered, saying, this is a lover of the brethren, who prayed much for the people and for the holy city, to wit, Jeremiah the prophet of God. Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold.
Hey, what up?
A sword of gold.
Man, read on.
And in giving it, spake thus, take this holy sword, a gift from God,
Read on.
with the which thou shalt wound the adversaries, thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good, and able to stir them up to valor, and to encourage the hearts of the young men. They determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger.
Hey, they was about that life, man. That's what it means to try the matter by conflict, man. Read on out.
Come, for the care that they took for their wives and their children, their brethren and kinsfolk, was in least account with them. But the greatest and principal fear was for the holy temple.
Was for the what?
Was for the holy temple.
And this is what brothers and sisters have to understand, that this truth is much, much bigger than yourselves, man.
That's right.
We are doing this for first our God, his only begotten son, and then for our nation, man. This is much, much bigger than ourselves in this walk, man. And we can never lose sight of that. Read on now.
Verse 19. Also, they that were in the city took not the least care, being troubled for the comfort abroad.
Read on.
And now, when all is looked, what should be the trial? And the enemies will already come near, and the army was set in array, and the beasts come in place, and the horsemen set in wings.
So he had everything in order. Read on.
Maccabees seeing the coming of the multitude, and diverse preparations of armor, and the fierceness of the beast, stretched out his hands toward heaven, and called upon the Lord that worketh wonders, knowing that victory cometh not by arms, but even as it seemeth good to him, he giveth it to such as are worthy.
Such as are what?
As are worthy.
Read on now.
Therefore, in his prayer, he said after this manner, O Lord, thou didst send thy angel in the time of Ezekiel, Hezekiah, king of Judea, and didst slay in the host of Sennacherib 185,000.
The precept that Capt gave us earlier, going back to what? 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 35. He's reciting that history. Read on.
Come. Verse 23. Wherefore now also, O Lord of heaven, send a good angel before us.
Send a what?
Send a good angel before us.
Read on now.
For a fear and dread unto them.
Read on.
And through the might of thine arm, let those be stricken with terror. They come against thy holy people to blaspheme. And he ended thus. Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs. But Judas and his company encountered the enemy with invocation and prayer, so that fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their hearts, they slew no less than 35,000 men.
No less than what?
No less than 35,000 men. For through the appearance of God, they were greatly cheered.
So we see this not only where the Most High God constantly sent angels, but go to 2 Maccabees chapter 11 and verse 8. I forgot to bring this up. Here we go back.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 11 and verse 8. And as they were at Jerusalem, there appeared before them on horseback one in white clothing, shaking his armor of gold. Then they praised the merciful God altogether, and took heart in so much that they were ready not only to fight with men, but with the most cruel beasts, and to pierce through walls of iron. Read on. Thus they marched forward in their armor, having a helper from heaven.
Having a what?
Having a helper from heaven.
Brother Renard, who was that helper from heaven? From heaven. Who is it? I mean, it doesn't say, but we know according to Daniel, you can just say an angel. Just say an angel, because we don't want to never add to the word. That is a good point, because we know that he does fight for the people. You know, read on.
Come. Thus they marched forward in their armor, having a helper from heaven, for the Lord was merciful unto them. And giving a charge upon their enemies like lions. They slew 11,000 footmen and 1,600 horsemen, and put all the other to flight.
So we constantly see what the Most High God does, what? Send angels. Whether he's sending angels to fight, or in this last particular case, he's sending angels to do what? Who caught the thought? That angel, go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 24.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15 and verse 24. And through the might of thy arm, let those be stricken with terror.
So that angel was sent to do what? Send terror into their minds. Jump up to verse 23. See, a lot of times, brothers and sisters, just thinking on a carnal level, like how the Most High God can just send an actual angel to come through slack. No, he can send an angel to plague you of your mind, to drive you crazy, to put a fear spirit on you, to where, guess what? You know good and bad. Read verse 23 again.
This is what we was talking about, touching on count 101.
This is spirit.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, just like brothers and sisters, man, like every time you deal with anything in this truth, you got to make sure that you repent, fasting, give alms. You got to do all the above. Because if the Lord if you choose to go off, it could be any time that the Lord said, bang, that's enough. I'm going to step in, right? And guess what? The brothers and sisters ain't got no power over choosing their delusion. You have no, that's why in Isaiah 66 and 4, the Lord said, I will choose your delusion. You have no power of what kind of delusion that you gonna get. Your delusion can make you a pedophile. Your delusion can make you a rapist. Your delusion can make you a murderer. Your delusion can make you anything, right? But it's gonna be coming from the Lord. The Lord gonna put that spirit on you, man. There be brothers walking around here, whoever this is beside him, they have a full conversation. You be like, brother, you okay? Just like, right? But whatever delusion, you can't choose your delusion. The Lord will choose it for you, right? So we got to make sure, man, that if anything, like I was touching on, man, the Lord gonna choose that delusion for you. Man. Go ahead.
Let's go back. The one where the chariots came down and shooting lightnings as they were. It's in team. I don't know, not team. Damn, I just had that mother. Didn't write it down. Damn. Go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 15. 15. Yeah, start at verse 25. You know what I want to?
Say maybe 10 to 30.
Yeah, all praise I give the spirit. Jump over to 2 Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 29. All praise God.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 10 and verse 29. But when the battle waxed strong, there appeared unto the enemies from heaven 5 comely men upon horses with bridles of gold, and 2 of them led the Jews.
So when it talks about horses from heaven, what is it going into? Chariots, not actual horses that are coming out of the sky. It's a similitude for the chariots. Read on out.
And took Maccabees betwixt them, and covered him on every side with their weapons, and kept him safe.
And kept him what?
And kept him safe,
But did what?
but shot arrows and lightnings against the enemy.
So guess what? Chariots got weapons, man. Chariots got weapons. They not just gonna be flying around when they come invade the earth, man. No, they coming with weapons, man. Read on out.
Come. And lightnings against the enemy, so that being confounded with blind,
With what?
with blind,
Read on out.
and full of trouble, They were killed.
They were what?
They were killed.
So this is another scene where the Most High God sent angels and chariots to help Judah's Maccabees in battle. Jump over.
They let you know when you're watching the movies what it look like, man.
That's right.
It's giving you details.
Second Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 15.
15 and 15.
Yeah, 15 and 15.
The book of Second Maccabees, chapter 15 and verse 15. Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold.
They swore to what?
A sword of gold.
Oh no, 15, 25. It's like y'all.
Verse 25. Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs. But Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocation and prayer.
And that's what we gotta fight our enemies with, man. Invocation and with prayer, man. Read on now.
So that fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their heart,
Read on.
they slew no less than 35,000 men.
Man, read that again.
Come. So that fighting with their hands and praying unto God with their hearts, they slew no less than 35,000 men.
Read on now.
For through the appearance of God, they were greatly cheated.
Now, what does that part mean? Through the appearance of God. The angels. The angels. Brothers have to make a marker. If you don't look at me. Write that thing down. An angel, because you'll come across it and you're going to forget the thought. It's going into an angel. Making reference to what even Genesis chapter 32 and 28. A lot of times people may think, no, is this the Most High actually coming down? No, we know that because what? No man has seen God and lived. We know that the Most High God doesn't need to get off his throne. Read on.
The second Maccabees 14 and 15, he said they helped his portion with the manifestation of his presence.
Yes. That's right. Going into the same thing, same meaning, using different words. Read on.
Verse 28. Now when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness.
All praises, man. Read on up.
Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language.
Read on in the Hebrew. Read on.
And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens, both in body and mind,
Read on.
and who continued his love towards his country all his life,
Read on.
commanded to strike off Nicanor's head
Read on.
and his hand with his shoulder,
Read on.
and bring them to Jerusalem.
And bring them to what?
Jerusalem.
Read on up.
So when he was there, and he had called them of his nation together, and set the priests before the altar, he sent for them that were of the tower.
Now this goes into psychological warfare, letting the other nations know this what's gonna befall you, man. If you keep playing with us and our God, man. Remember, this is the same thing that the Most High God did in the Old Testament. When guess what, brothers was out of order. He had them cut off their head and set it up on a pole as a what? Reminder. And as a deterrent from wickedness, man. Read on up.
Come. So like verse 31. So when he was there, he had called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar.
Read on.
He sent for them that were of the tower,
Set things back in order. Read on.
and showed them vile Nicanor's head in the hand of that blasphemer with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty.
Read on.
And when he had cut out the tongue of the ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowl.
Read on.
And hang up the reward of his madness before the temple.
Saying the same thing in Revelation, how he's gonna have the fowls and come and do what? Eating the carcasses of Esau's in
Right.
what? World War III battle. Read on, huh?
So every man praised toward the heaven, the glorious Lord, saying, Blessed be he that keepeth his own place undefiled.
Read that part again.
Blessed be he that kept his own place undefiled.
And that's the thing, man. Brothers have to keep their own place undefiled, man. That's something that brothers and sisters must meditate on as we move in towards what? The Passover, man. Because we know that we see brothers and sisters get sifted out. We see these things, man, whether it's physically or whether it's spiritually, man. We see these things, man. Brothers and sisters steady, guess what? Removing the leaven from your temple. Hey, Brothers and sisters gonna have to be on it because guess what? I'm pretty sure this is not the end of it. That's why we always prepare, brothers. Two of the heaviest high holy days is what, brothers?
Passover and Feast of Tabernacles.
And tabernacles. And are we lying? Have y'all seen brothers and sisters be cast out of this thing, man? Go ahead.
How do we keep the temple undefiled?
Keeping the commandments.
Keeping the commandments, right? Let's go to 1 Esdras. Chapter 8. Real quick, let's get a rundown, man. We've been talking about it all day today. How we defile the temple. How are we doing to defile the temple right now today? Start at 83.
The book of First Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 83.
Start at 82.
Come. First Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 82. And now, O Lord, what shall we say having these things? For we have transgressed thy commandment, which thou gavest by the hand of thy servants the prophets, saying, read, that the land which he entered into to possess as an heritage is a land polluted with the pollutions of the strangers of the land.
We see that this land is polluted with the pollutions of the strangers. Right? Read on.
They have filled it with their uncleanliness.
And this is what Esau is doing. They are filling this land with uncleanness. But in order to what? Keep this temple undefiled, we got to do what? Read.
Come. Therefore now shall ye not join your daughters unto their sons, neither shall ye take their daughters unto your sons.
So that's one way to keep this temple undefiled. Right? Not dealing with the heathen nations, man, going into the heathen nations, man. Right? Keeping your bloodline pure, read.
Moreover, you shall never seek to have peace with them,
nor to seek to have peace with the heathens, man. We can never have peace with them, man. Let's do that on the 23 and 6. Don't look to be peaceful with them, man. Read.
that ye may be strong
Uh-huh.
and eat the good things of the land, and that ye may leave the inheritance of the land unto your children forevermore.
Read on.
And all that is befallen is done unto us for our wicked works and great sins. For thou, O Lord, didst make our sins light.
So this is a way that we can definitely strengthen our nation and keep the temple undefiled, right? And these are all precepts in the Bible, man, going to laws, man, not dealing with the heathens, right? Marriages, not giving them credits like we see we did countless times, even in what we're going over today, right? Not agreeing with them, saying, well, you know what, this might be right for us. No, hell, right? This is what we got to do just so we can keep our temple undefiled. That's right. Read, go ahead.
Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 34.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15 and verse 34. So every man prays toward the heaven, the glorious Lord, saying, blessed be he that had kept his own place under fire.
Read on.
He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of the Lord.
Read on.
And they ordained all with a common decree, and in no case to let the day pass without solemnity,
Read on.
but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar,
Read on.
the day before Mardoshia's day.
Mordecai's day.
Mordecai's day.
What is Mordecai's day? Feast of Purim. Read on. Remember, it's written in the Greek. That's why it's spelled that way. Read on.
Come. Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth, the Hebrews had the city in their power.
The who are?
The Hebrews,
No, the Edomites.
the Hebrews
Read on.
had the city in their power.
Read on.
And here will I make an end. And if I have done well, and as is fitting the story, it is that which I desire. But if slenderly, and meanly, it is that which I could attain unto.
Read on.
For as it is hurtful to drink wine or water alone, and as wine mingled with water is pleasant, and delighteth the taste, even so speech finely framed delighteth the ears of them that read the story.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. This speech finally framed delighted my ears, man. You know, it's something that, like you said, we have to understand. We have to understand this is our history and this is our memorial, man. Read on now.
Come, delighteth the ears of them that read the story, and here shall be an end.
And with that, we say shalom. We always tell brothers and sisters to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. So we always like to lead with a law. Jump up to verse 36 again.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15, and verse 36. And they ordained all what they common decree, in no case to let the day pass without solemnity.
Solemnity is us gathering ourselves together, man.
But to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month.
And it's our job to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which is going into Tuesday. Read on out.
Which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mordecai's day.
The day before the feast of Purim. So we're going to celebrate those things with joyfulness and with gladness of heart. Pray that brothers and sisters come here in the spirit, whether to worship in the Most High God's name, man. And with that, we say shalom.
Oh.
Any questions?